Welcome. In this presentation, we will examine one of the most important developments in recent UPSC preparation, the emergence of what can be called the hybrid era of the civil services preliminary examination. Using detailed illustrations from the UPSC Prelims 2026 General Studies Paper 1, we will identify the structural shifts introduced by the Commission and discuss how aspirants must adapt their preparation and mock test strategies to remain competitive. The central argument of this presentation is simple. UPSC is no longer rewarding mere accumulation of information. It is increasingly rewarding cognitive adaptability. The 2026 paper represents a stabilization after the disruptive changes introduced in 2023 and 2024. It is neither a return to the old factual style nor a continuation of the highly restrictive quantitative formats that dominated recent years. Instead, the paper combines three distinct question types. First, the selective return of elimination-friendly questions. Second, the rise of relational and logical statement analysis. Third, the emergence of conditional quantitative statement questions. Together, these form the foundation of the new hybrid pattern, the three pillars. Our analysis identifies three structural pillars. Pillar 1 is strategic elimination. Pillar 2 is relational and logical testing. Pillar 3 is conditional quantitative statement analysis. Each pillar requires a different mental approach. The biggest mistake candidates can make is using a single strategy across all question types. Success now depends on recognizing the typology of the question and switching cognitive modes accordingly. Pillar 1. Strategic elimination. The first pillar is the selective return of strategic elimination. During 2023 and 2024, UPSC attempted to reduce the effectiveness of elimination techniques by introducing how many statements are correct formats. However, in 2026, more than 70% of questions once again allowed meaningful elimination. This means that identifying even one incorrect statement can immediately eliminate multiple options and improve decision-making speed. Candidates who understand this can gain a major time advantage. Pillar 1. Examples. Several questions in the 2026 paper belong to this category. Questions on the Amaravati Stupa, Forward Block, Western Hulock Gibbons, Blockchain Technology, Genome India Project, and NBFC regulations all demonstrated elimination-friendly structures. The common feature across these questions is that a single factual certainty could eliminate two or more answer choices. These questions reward efficient thinking rather than exhaustive verification. Q64 NBFC example. Let us consider question 64 on non-banking financial companies. One statement suggested that NBFCs form part of the payment and settlement system and can issue checks. A candidate who knows this statement is false can immediately eliminate multiple options. Notice what happened here. The candidate does not need complete knowledge of every statement. One reliable fact dramatically narrows the answer space. This is the essence of strategic elimination. Pillar 2. Relational analysis. The second pillar is far more significant. Traditionally, UPSC asked whether statements were individually correct. In 2026, many questions shifted focus from factual correctness to logical relationships. The question is no longer, is this statement true? Instead, the question becomes, does one statement validate another? Does it contradict it? Does it extend it? Does it explain it? This represents a major evolution in examination design. Relational question types. Several forms of relational reasoning appeared. Support analysis, contradiction analysis, causal analysis, policy implication analysis, objective analysis. In each case, factual knowledge remains necessary but becomes insufficient. Candidates must understand how ideas interact with one another. This is a deeper level of cognition than simple recall. Example: Sagarmala. Question. Question 25 on Sagarmala is perhaps the best illustration. Statement 1 discussed port-led development. Statement 2 referred to achievements in coastal shipping. Statement 3 discussed the future expansion through Sagarmala 2.0. The challenge was not determining whether each statement was individually correct. The challenge was determining the relationship among them. Statement 2 validated Statement 1. Statement 3 extended Statement 1. And there was no contradiction between them. This is a classic example of relational reasoning. Claimant response Q31. Question 31 examined India's climate strategy. One statement discussed the long-term low-emission development strategy. Another introduced recent emissions data. A third emphasized short-term targets. The key task was identifying whether the statements complemented or contradicted one another. Candidates who merely memorized program names struggled. Candidates who understood policy philosophy succeeded. This demonstrates UPSC's growing preference for conceptual understanding. Pillar 3 Conditional Quantitative Questions. The third pillar is the most challenging. UPSC has transformed traditional quantitative statement questions into conditional quantitative questions. Instead of asking how many statements are correct, the options now depend on specific statements being correct. This format destroys the safety net of partial knowledge. A candidate must independently evaluate every statement before selecting an option. This significantly increases precision requirements. Pillar 3 examples. Questions on constitutional provisions, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, parliamentary procedures, and parliamentary committees exemplified this format. These questions are dangerous under negative marking because uncertainty about even one statement can make the entire question difficult to resolve. They reward precision rather than approximation. For many candidates, these become high-risk questions. Skills required. The 2026 paper demonstrates that preparation must evolve. Candidates need 3 major skills. First, concept web thinking. Second, independent statement verification. Third, cognitive flexibility. Rather than memorizing isolated facts, aspirants must learn how policies, institutions, and ideas connect to one another. Knowledge must be organized as systems rather than lists. 3-tier attempt strategy. The examination should be approached in 3 waves. Tier 1 consists of direct and elimination-friendly questions. These should be attempted quickly. Tier 2 consists of relational and analytical questions. These require deliberate reasoning and additional time. Tier 3 consists of conditional quantitative questions. These should be attempted only when confidence is exceptionally high. This sequencing maximizes score while minimizing negative marking. Mock test protocols. Mock test must also change. Practice the option blindness drill. Hide the options and evaluate statements independently before looking at answer choices. Track performance not only by subject but also by question typology. Measure accuracy separately for elimination questions, relational questions, and conditional quantitative questions. This creates much more meaningful feedback. Time budget framework. Not all questions deserve equal time. Direct questions should typically be completed within 20 to 30 seconds. Traditional statement questions may require up to 1 minute. Relational analysis questions often require 2 to 3 minutes. Conditional quantitative questions may require even more time and are often best skipped if certainty is lacking. Time allocation is now a strategic skill in itself. Key takeaways and conclusion. The most important lesson from the 2026 paper is that UPSC values cognitive adaptability. Strategic elimination requires rapid factual recognition. Relational analysis requires conceptual reasoning. Conditional quantitative questions require rigorous verification. The successful candidate is not necessarily the one who has read the most material. It is the one who can rapidly switch among these three modes of thinking based on the demands of the question. That is the defining challenge of the hybrid era. Thank you.